Hello, Smars here. So I am doing this little video showing this map, the route map of the characters that I posted in the most recent issue of Goblin, and then also posted on I posted in a couple of places, DeviantArt and the Goblin Facebook and the Goblin Google Plus page, all that kind of stuff. Anyways, but so I posted this map, or part of the Mahu map, that's sort of in between the Northlands and the Southlands, and it's sort of right near the Northlandic-Soutlandic border. It's more of the Southlands than it is the Northlands. But anyways, the reason why I'm doing this video is because there may have been a little bit of confusion as to what all of these different things meant all over the map, all the different routes, when they took place, and when, like where they took place and when they took place. And I'm gonna try to make it. I'm gonna talk about them, and I'll try to make it less confusing, if that makes any sense. So I'm gonna actually turn these off, and I am going to draw the routes on my own. I'm gonna try to do a little visual aid here and make it interesting. I'm gonna try to make this kind of quick, like 10 minutes or so, and really not be boring. So anyways, so obviously, we start off near Chuta village with Jeff and Sank. It's probably somewhere over here because they didn't cross the river. There's a little village over here north of Chuta, whose name I forget, because it's really unimportant. Anyways, so they started out over here and ended up at the village, and this little area here is sort of that long hill that they slope down. So let me actually post that. So we have issue 1. Yay, there's the issue 1. And that little area right there is sort of where they walk down that hill, that long hill going down off into the that chasm at the end of issue 2. And that's where they were going. So anyway, so they start off their adventure here, issue 1 through issue 2, and they actually they walked. It's a very long voyage, but they walked that distance to Dunmers, and you can imagine how long that would be. That's quite a ways. There probably was a lot of stuff that happened in that, between there, obviously, because of the way that issue 3 actually starts off, with them being chased out of the forest. So obviously some stuff happened, but so this is where they meet Amy, where they meet Mumu, and where they meet J. Mephisto, and eventually Dolclot. So you have that, and I guess also they meet the Rune Claws for the first time. They meet the Order of the S for the first time, and we're introduced to Pinion for the first time. That's a lot of characters, but basically this is the splintering point. This is the point when all these different forks sort of go out into different directions. This is sort of the hub of plots, the plot hub. Anyways, so from this point, at issue 5 is when they all go into their separate directions. Because Pinion doesn't show up until at the end, after Jeff, Amy, Sank, and Mutmu have headed off towards Hydro Descono, the Red Castle, and on their way end up no, that's issue 5. They end up in the Hidden Village, and yeah, J. Mephisto, who was initially following Jeff when he found out, when he realized, what he thought Sankofa was, according to that book. He was initially trailing him, but then he gets reassigned, and so he has to head out towards Kyojus City, or Kyoges, whichever one you want to choose. I say Kyojus, but it looks like it's pronounced Kyoges. So there's all the chaos that happens down here in 7B, 7A, 6A, 6B, as the characters pass the this sort of invisible line here. Is it? Yeah, it's kind of right there, I think. There's a line. Oh, actually, I can see where I indicated. It's right there. Haha. Boom. Okay, so there's a line, there's a sort of invisible line right there. And most of this up here is controlled sort of by by the Empire of Sands. Not obviously not all areas are controlled by them, indicated by black. But they are raining a lot of terror up here in the Northlands. Down here, this is the Northlandic Soutlandic border, so down here they don't really have any sway yet. So from there, let's see. Ooh, we're at 5 minutes. Let me make this fast. So they make it to Hydro Descono, the Red Castle. We have the Red Castle arc where 26 Sune and Sethire are introduced. I'm trying not to run out of breath. And they actually have to chase Sethire, who captures Mumu, and then end up at the House of Golden Runes, where Vimmercoco, and we're reintroduced to the Rune Claws, and Vimmercoco is introduced. That's around 13, and let's see. So from there, Jeff and them go off, continuing to chase after Sethire, who's headed towards Centris after, Jeff, comes back through the Circle of Blue Fire. And then we end up, I'm sorry, I'm working between multiple layers. That's why I keep disappearing. They're down here at this train yard village, which actually is on the map because it's a known area. It doesn't have a name as far as I know. I don't think I've ever written down a name in on my notes and stuff. But yeah, so that's there, and basically the whole time, by this point, they begin to be pursued by Pinion, who shows up at Dunbur's, realizes that logic smiths, a whole lot of logic smiths, after he views the video, are wrecking a lot of stuff for the Empire of Sands, and so he decides to start tracking them. And through some of the hierarchs of the military, he finds out that they've done some stuff out here. So he comes to the House of Golden Runes after it's been ruined and stuff. He finds all sorts of clues there, and so he's able to sort of trace them a little bit better. Oh yeah, he did make a stop at Hydro Descono, but whatever. So, oh wow, I'm getting a little glitch here. I don't know if you can see that. Wow, that sucks. So, anyways, at the same time, no, not there. At the same time, up here, we have J. Mephisto, who makes it to the excavation site, which is, let me move this, the excavation site, which is actually somewhere here. It's not at Kyogis City, whichever. It's a little bit a ways from it. You can see the city from the excavation site. There's like one scene in an issue where you can see the city in the background, and that's because I wasn't ready to actually start drawing cities yet. I didn't. Anyways, but eventually he goes into the city, and he gets into a fight. He starts getting into a fight with Mujun, and eventually is drawn slowly towards the city, following after her through the woods, and they're being pursued by Spectral Army. So basically what's going on is, at the same time that this stuff is going on with J. Mephisto above the border, down here in Centris, down here, Jeff and his group are just arriving in Centris. And basically, the events of Centris, pretty much issue 18 through 25, that happens in a day. That happens in the span of a few hours. When they arrive in Centris, all of that happens within a few hours. Jeff gets arrested, he gets in prison, all of that stuff happens within the course of a few hours. It didn't take days. It took a few hours. They end up trailing, going down underneath Centris. They find the Order of the S. The Order S explodes the place, boom, and brings down Unlimited 99, and all chaos is let loose. All of that stuff happened in the course of a few hours. So then what happens is this is kind of the way this timeline works. What happens is at some point Pinion arrives at Sintra's house just as things are falling apart. But further up north, where is it? Here we are. J. Mephisto ends up fighting Mirjun in Kyoji's city. So all of that happens, you know, with Mecha Shield and all that kind of stuff. And what happens is then Nine shows up, Noni, he shows up, and boom, teleports him using blue fire logic all the way over here to Chor Village. And that's issue 30. I didn't have one for issue 30 like the others. And so that happens in issue 30. And of course the events of issue 30 take us within a week. I think, is it a week? It's a week. Oh man, I can't even remember. Oh no, yeah, sorry. It should be about 3 weeks. That's the part where I messed up earlier in an earlier issue where I talked about that it had been 3 weeks. I think way back in Kyoji's city, I mentioned that it had been 3 weeks. The council mentions it, and it turns out that it was actually supposed to be here. I messed up my own timeline. It was supposed to be here where it was mentioned that it was like about 3 weeks or so, or a week to 3 weeks, and it took them to walk from, actually it shouldn't have been 3 weeks, it should have been like a week, and it takes them to walk from Chor to, I hope I put a week, from Chor Village to Sintra's. So they head from Chor to Sintra's, and in that time they arrive and find everything in shambles. At that point, Jeff and the gang, led by Vimercoco, have already started out to her home. They're going out here to the coast because she's, you know, got her stuff set up out here on the coast so that she can go home. So, you know, you have that. That's issue, that's issue, you know, 26 and beyond. That's volume 2. So, you know, they head out, and of course, yeah, maybe you're wondering what goes on in there. There actually, yeah, there's some stuff that happens there, and that's stuff you can see in 25.5. That's a special issue. A little plug there. That's going to be in the book 2 trade paperback, the digital trade paperback. I'm going to put that in there, and there's all that stuff. And let's see, 25. I guess I should have said is when they are on that trail, and then it leads into 25.5. And then in 26, and then that's where volume 2 picks up. But yeah, and of course, you know, they're being trailed by Pinion the whole time, and that's kind of where the story is at this moment, at this exact moment, that we are reading J. Mephisto's story. Jeff and them are running through the forest, headed for the coast. Pinion is on their trail, and J. Mephisto is just arriving in Sintra's house, and that's where the story is. And this is, like this thing down here says, this where the stars were indicated on that map. Hold on. Oh no! Oops! I made a mess all over the place. Wow! Look at that. Where these stars, these different stars, are indicated, is where the characters are as of 3 weeks ago, because the story that we're reading now with issue 30 actually takes place 3 weeks in the past. So, yeah, wow, that was a little bit longer than 10 minutes, about 15 minutes, but hopefully that did more to help than to confuse, and my little scribbles and notes hopefully helped a little, hopefully. But yeah, so that's what this map and all these little things indicate. It's all just a matter of playing around with time, you know, and where different characters are, you know, their different lives are taking place, you know, at the same time. All this stuff is kind of happening at the same times, not exactly at the same time, but within the same time frames of one another. and that it's just different characters in their lives. You know, it's not focused on one character and their life. It's not just about Jeff. It's about all these different people's lives and how the events that are taking place, not just with Jeff, Amy, and all of them, but with J Mephisto and even Pinion and how all these different things affect one another and how it affects the overall story. Right now, of course, you know, the stuff going on with Jeff is affecting the story more than anything. But hey, let's see how that goes. And yeah, this is mostly because I don't want to show any footage of this week's issue coming up because I want it to be a surprise. So yeah, I'm gonna just end this video here. Alright, thanks for watching. Hope that helped. Bye.